者何人？
墨者格离。
The man standing before them, named Gay Li, is a member of the Mohist school, the foremost masters of mechanics during the Warring States period. Despite his unassuming appearance, his talents are extraordinary. A single arrow from him is capable of repelling an army of 100,000. During the Warring States period, 7 dominant powers vied for supremacy. The formidable state of Zhao decided to invade the state of Yan. The state of Leang, positioned along the route as an ideal staging ground for troops and provisions, became Zhao's primary target. However, Leang was a small state with a population of only 4,000. Faced with Zhao's 100,000-strong army, the entire state of Leang was thrown into a panic. Out of desperation, Leang had no choice but to seek help from the Mohists, who advocated peace. But days passed with no Mohist reinforcements in sight, while the invading Zhao army was already bearing down on them. Faced with this situation, the helpless king of Leang immediately harbored thoughts of surrender. To negotiate peace with the Zhao forces, the king of Leang sent General Niu Zizhang to the Zhao military camp. At this very moment, however, Gay Li had already arrived beneath the city gates of Liang. Seeing a stranger approaching, the master archer Zituan immediately fired a warning arrow. In response, Gay Li had no choice but to declare his name. Hearing that he was a Mohist, the Liang soldiers opened the gates as if grasping a lifeline. Following closely behind him was Zhao's army of 100,000. As soon as Gay Li entered the city, he mobilized the citizens.
赵军入城，你们一样难逃劫数。你们的家园会被占据，你们的妻女会被凌辱。你们为什么愿意苟且偷生，而不愿意尽力一战呢？如果能活下来，你们的头颅会昂得更高。
With just a few words, he ignited the fighting spirit of the people. However, Prince Liangshi was highly dissatisfied and even publicly demanded to know what method Gay Li had to make the Zhao army retreat. Hearing this, Gay Li immediately walked up to the city wall. Facing the rapidly approaching army, he looked toward the sun.
你的弓可否借用一下？
他们的距离太远，
给我。
Tied a piece of copper wire to his arrowhead and shouted a bold threat to the Zhao forces.
谁敢靠近梁城半步，我绝不留情！
Hearing his words, the Zhao commander paid it no mind, as the distance between the two sides was far beyond bowshot. Provoked in front of his troops, however, the Zhao commander rode his horse forward. Seeing this, Gay Li fired an arrow high into the air. Blinded by the glaring sunlight, the Zhao commander was instantly startled off his horse by the swiftly incoming arrow. Furious, the commander was about to order an attack, but unexpectedly received an order to retreat, leaving him no choice but to withdraw for the time being. Repelling the Zhao army with a single arrow greatly boosted the morale of the Liang troops. Witnessing this scene, Prince Liangshi asked Gay Li what other cities he had defended. Gay Li, however, replied that this was the only city he had ever defended. Considering his abilities, Prince Liangshi couldn't help but lower his guard against him. But to truly aid Liang City, Gay Li needed full military command. Thus, Gay Li sought an audience with the king of Liang. Upon seeing Gay Li, the king of Liang also voiced the doubts in his heart.
格里，你认为梁城能守多久？
这要视乎大王对隔离的信任有多大。
完全信任。
那希望大王现在就把全城的兵权交给隔离。
Despite Gay Li's assurances, the king of Liang remained gripped by cowardice. With Zhao fielding 100,000 soldiers against Liang's 4,000, he simply did not believe Liang stood a chance against such insurmountable odds. Hesitant and wavering, the king of Liang even entertained the thought of executing Gay Li to appease the state of Zhao. Faced with such a king, Gay Li had no choice but to use reverse psychology and play along. He told the king of Liang to bind him right then and there, hand him over to Prince Liangshi, and deliver him to the Zhao army's mercy. He reasoned that this would temporarily halt the war, allowing the king to take his family to Handan to beg for the king of Zhao's forgiveness. Gay Li even suggested putting all the able-bodied men of Liang at the disposal of the Zhao army, claiming that doing so would spare the citizens of Liang from the ravages of war. With just a few words, Ge Li struck at the very core of the king of Liang. Although the king was a craven coward, he still knew the difference between ruling his own kingdom and living at another's mercy. With the hope of maintaining his rule right in front of him, the power-hungry king naturally refused to give it up. Therefore, the king of Liang resolved that, at any cost, the Mohist Ge Li would command the city's entire military to resist Zhao's brutal invasion. The king even declared that anyone who dared to disobey Mr. Ge Li's orders would be executed. Thus, Ge Li successfully secured military command over Liang City. Given the local terrain, the mechanically minded Ge Li immediately deduced that the Zhao army would poison Liang City's rivers. Therefore, his first move was to order soldiers to dig multiple water wells inside the city and to turn the eastern gate area into a low-lying basin. He then collected food from the citizens to be centrally distributed by the military, ensuring their provisions would last through the siege. With survival conditions secured, the second step was the defense of the city itself. Although parts of the southern and western borders of Liang City possessed natural barriers, and the eastern side had been converted into a basin, the weakest section in the south naturally became the expected target of the Zhao army's attack. Therefore, Ge Li decided to spend 7 days building a barbican, an inner defensive enclosure, at the southern front. That way, once the Zhao army breached the gates, they would be completely trapped inside like fish in a barrel. However, gathering the bricks and tiles needed to build the barbican would normally take years. Collecting them in such a short time was practically impossible. Therefore, Ge Li came up with the idea of tearing down the royal palace to build the barbican. He stated that dismantling the palace for its walls was necessary to construct the defense and fend off the Zhao army. If the fortifications were not properly built, Liang City would easily fall. He also explained that this was a form of psychological warfare. Erecting a barbican within 7 days would inevitably deal a heavy psychological blow to the enemy. Pressured by the dire circumstances, the helpless king of Liang had no choice but to agree. With survival conditions and city defenses prepared, all that remained was the selection of a commander for the archers. Ge Li decided to appoint the master archer Zituan as the commander, but the arrogant Prince Liang Shi was the first to object. As a result, the two had to compete in an archery contest. Using wooden carvings as targets, each fired 5 arrows. Moments later, Prince Liang Shi had fired all his arrows with perfect accuracy, while Zituan was left with only 1. It turned out that the prince was only considered the top archer in the past because of his royal status, not because everyone else's archery was inferior. Deeply moved by this realization, Prince Liang Shi conceded, and Zituan rightfully became the commander of the archery division. With all preparations complete, the great Zhao army soon arrived. Arrows were nocked, and the phalanxes formed up. Zhao's menacing 100,000-strong army was like a ferocious lion. Although the city's roofs were struck by a hail of arrows, they suffered no damage. Prior to this, Ge Li had ordered the citizens to coat their roofs with a mixture containing feces, which acted as a fire retardant. Seeing that their rain of arrows had inflicted no harm, the infuriated Zhao army immediately charged forward. Watching the approaching troops, Ge Li directly ordered the dropping of sulfur-soaked hay. The hay was ignited, instantly releasing a thick cloud of sulfur vapor. The pungent yellow smoke severely weakened the Zhao soldiers. At that moment, the archers commanded by Zituan unleashed their arrows. Between the rain of Liang arrows and the falling boulders, the Zhao army suffered heavy casualties. Although the defenses were well prepared, they still could not hold back the sheer numbers of the Zhao army. After several waves of defense, the Zhao forces still managed to breach the barbican. Seeing this, Li ordered everyone to retreat into the inner city, and the drawbridge was instantly raised. However, the soldier pulling the rope was accidentally struck by an arrow in the process. Li grabbed the rope himself but accidentally shattered a suspended clay pot. The liquid inside poured down, instantly igniting a massive fire on the battlefield. The Zhao soldiers who had stormed the Barbican were suddenly engulfed in a sea of flames, while Li was thrown to the ground after losing his grip. Li was stunned as he watched the Zhao soldiers being consumed by the inferno. Although he was helping Leang fend off the Zhao army, his ultimate goal was always world peace and the avoidance of conflict. Watching them perish, he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of sorrow. Before he had time to dwell on it, a Zhao commander charged at him. Seeing this, Li quickly ducked to evade the attack. At the critical moment, he grabbed a rope thrown by Zituan and retreated into the inner city. To force a quick retreat, Zituan fired an arrow that struck the Zhao commander. With their general shot, the Zhao army had no choice but to fall back, and Li, whose mind had been highly concentrated the entire time, finally collapsed into a deep sleep. The next day, Li woke up in the home of Chief Yi Yue. Chief Yi Yue, originally a commander of the Royal Guard, had been captivated by Li's brilliance during the city's defense and fell in love with him. She even offered him a pair of straw sandals as a token of her affection. Seeing her gesture, Li immediately guessed her intentions. However, his Mohist devotion to saving the world made it difficult for him to accept her love. Unsure of how to face her, Li wandered into the city alone, only to encounter an unexpected incident. While patrolling, he was publicly assassinated by a man. Unexpectedly, the assailant accidentally cut himself with his own poisoned blade and died first. This bizarre scene immediately aroused Li's suspicions. The following day, he gathered everyone to mourn the deceased in order to flush out any spies. As the plan unfolded, a young girl was publicly exposed as a spy. In her panic and helplessness, the girl was mobbed and beaten by the crowd, though she was merely a pitiful victim who had been coerced. However, the Zhao army's offensive was far from over. To uncover the enemy's next move, Li decided to go alone to scout their camp. As it turned out, Chief Yi Yue, worried about his safety, secretly followed him. Li told her to leave, but she stubbornly refused. Left with no choice, he had to bring her along. The two arrived at a hillside to observe and saw soldiers digging into the earth. Well versed in mechanics and engineering, Li immediately realized that the Zhao army was employing a tunneling tactic. Seeing Chief Yi Yue's confusion, he explained the logic behind it. Unfortunately, their voices inadvertently alerted the enemy. Noticing this, the two hastily retreated. After a tense chase, they reached the peak of the mountain only to find a dead-end cliff in front of them and pursuing Zhao soldiers right behind. In desperation, the two had no choice but to leap from the summit. Fortunately, there was a river below, allowing them to escape danger unharmed. Upon returning to the Leang camp, Li immediately formulated a plan. The essence of Zhao's tunneling tactic was to infiltrate a portion of their troops into the city to strike from within while the main army attacked from the outside. Thus, Li decided to play right into their hands. He would let the Zhao soldiers enter and catch them like fish in a barrel. Time waited for no man. The Zhao army began their operation and soldiers swarmed out of the tunnels. Little did they know, Li had already laid an inescapable trap. When the time was right, Li and his men charged out, instantly surrounding the Zhao troops. At the same time, the Leang soldiers dropped prearranged spiked barricades, killing the charging Zhao soldiers on the spot. Consequently, the remaining Zhao forces were thrown into total disarray. Realizing that resistance was futile, the Zhao soldiers surrendered their weapons one after another. Just then, a barbarian soldier hiding on the sidelines took a Leang child hostage in a desperate bid to survive. Seeing this, Li immediately stepped forward to negotiate. After some persuasion, the barbarian compromised.
孩子是无辜的。
我知道，挖地道是他们逼我来的。
给我！
小心！
别打！黑后，别走！你怎么样？伤着没有？
However, General Niu treacherously went back on his word and directly ordered his men to fire, instantly slaughtering over 1,000 captured soldiers. The Zhao forces outside the city, realizing their plan had failed, had no choice but to retreat for the time being. Thus, the second battle to defend the city was accomplished. For such a resounding victory, the king of Liang wished to reward Gei Li, but looking at the corpses littering the city, Gei Li immediately refused.
上次，难道牛将军看不见这里堆满了上千具尸体吗？
Although Gei Li was merely upholding his Mohist principles, the king of Liang did not see it that way, a misunderstanding that would nearly cost Gei Li his life.
牛将军，
末将在。
请多加留意，那些左右我们发展兴盛的思想，万万不能在梁城蔓延。
是。
That night, Gei Li stayed at Chief Yiyue's home. The recent harrowing events only deepened Chief Yiyue's affection for him. Unable to suppress her feelings any longer, she confessed her love to Gei Li. Faced with her earnest and straightforward confession, Gei Li outwardly rejected her, but his heart had already begun to waver. Having long been bound by Mohist teachings, he simply needed a reason to let himself love. Soon after, the state of Qi launched an invasion against the state of Zhao. Faced with such a formidable foe, the Zhao army was bound to retreat and defend their homeland. The king of Liang was overjoyed upon hearing the news. However, by now, Gei Li's prestige among the common people had completely eclipsed that of the king. Fearing that this overwhelming popularity threatened his rule, the paranoid king immediately decided to turn on his savior. To consolidate his own power, the king of Liang ordered Gei Li's arrest. King of Liang's reason was that Gei Li wanted to use the rescue of Liang City to gain the people's trust and seize power. Unaware of this betrayal, Gei Li was focused on ensuring the Zhao army's permanent withdrawal. He took his men near the Zhao camp to cook the enemy's hometown dishes, hoping to strike at their homesickness and break their morale. Upon arriving near the camp, they set up their cooking utensils, only to find no sign of the Zhao soldiers. Thus, Gei Li ordered his men to stay behind while he returned to Liang City alone. However, General Niu was already lying in ambush. The guards, seeing Gei Li return, immediately opened the gates. The moment he stepped inside, Gei Li was surrounded by heavily armed Liang soldiers. At this critical juncture, Prince Liangsha stepped forward. The prince intentionally offered himself up so that Gei Li could take him hostage and escape. The plan worked, and the two managed to slip out of the city. But just as they were about to get away, General Niu ruthlessly ordered his men to fire. A massive volley of arrows blackened the sky. Gei Li's men, who had rushed over to receive them, were shot down one after another. Gei Li was struck by an arrow, while Prince Liang Shi, caught in the crossfire before he could retreat, was tragically killed by his own men. Upon returning to the palace, General Niu immediately begged for forgiveness. Prince Liang Shi was the king of Liang's only son. With his sole heir dead, the king was naturally consumed by absolute fury. However, despite their victory in defending the city, Liang could not afford any more internal losses of command. Thus, the king was forced to temporarily pardon General Niu's fatal blunder. With nowhere else to vent his rage, the king directed all his wrath toward Gei Li. The very next day, the king of Liang ordered the arrest of anyone associated with Gei Li. Zituan, who had refused to fire his arrows during the ambush on Gei Li, was thrown into the dungeon, where General Niu viciously severed the tendons in his hands. Meanwhile, the wounded Gei Li was rescued by the barbarian soldier he had previously spared. As Gei Li slowly recovered, the two began to converse like old friends.
你救他们，他们却这样对你。
Back in the city, Chief Yiyue, fiercely defending Gei Li, publicly exposed the king of Liang's treacherous motives. Humiliated and enraged, the king sentenced her to be publicly executed by being torn apart by 5 horses. Obsessed with clutching onto his petty power, the king of Liang was completely oblivious to the fact that the Zhao army had never truly left. The The Zhao commander Xiang Yanzhong, though ruthless, was absolutely determined to avenge his fallen soldiers. With the Qi army yet to deploy, his rear was temporarily secure, while the state of Liang had drastically lowered its guard. Knowing the time was ripe, he led the Zhao army and doubled back. While the Liang soldiers were caught in confusion, the Zhao forces suddenly launched an aerial assault from outside the city using hot air balloons. The surprise attack caught the Liang defenders completely off guard. The ensuing chaos interrupted Chief Yi Yue's execution, though she was subsequently thrown into a flooded dungeon. The Zhao assault plunged the city into total pandemonium. Instead of fighting off the invaders, the rogue Liang soldiers began slaughtering their own citizens in the chaos. Even in the face of certain defeat, General Niu stubbornly tried to assert his authority, clinging to a lost cause. By the next day, the entire Liang court and military had become prisoners of the Zhao army. To save his own skin, the royal tutor immediately surrendered to the enemy. He groveled, claiming that the war between the two states was entirely Gailey's doing. The royal tutor even insisted that the king of Liang had originally intended to hand Gailey over to Zhao, but he had managed to escape. But Xiang Yanzhong was a brilliant strategist with a mind of his own. He saw right through the royal tutor's pathetic slander. His return to sack Liang City was driven by two goals: to avenge his thousands of fallen soldiers and to truly defeat Gailey face to face. Capturing the city was not enough to satisfy him. Therefore, he ordered his soldiers to echo a shout through the valley. If Gailey did not show himself, he would slaughter the citizens of Liang. It was a brutal ultimatum to force Gailey out of hiding. Hearing this, Gailey, who could never bear to see innocent lives lost, was deeply moved to action once again. Even though the king of Liang had betrayed him, Gailey was fundamentally different from the tyrant. In this moment of crisis, he chose to stay true to his Mohist convictions. Seeing Gailey actually arrive, Xiang Yanzhong couldn't help but feel a profound sense of respect. He invited Gailey up to a high tower for a private conversation.
不要用死人的名义作为借口去掩盖自己的暴行。要知道，战争只会将更多的活人往死里推。
But within moments, the two men were locked in a fierce ideological debate. Suddenly, massive torrents of water flooded the city, followed closely by Zituan and his reformed archery corps. It turned out that Gailey, who had seemingly walked into the lion's den alone, had already set a master plan in motion. Caught between the raging floodwaters and a fierce counterattack, the Zhao army was forced to abandon Liang City. However, Commander Xiang Yanzhong chose to remain in the tower, as if silently repenting for the bloodshed he had caused. As the Zhao forces fled in panic, the cowardly king of Liang, reveling in an unearned victory, ordered the tower to be burned down, immolating Commander Xiang Yanzhong inside. Meanwhile, Gailey rushed off to rescue Chief Yi Yue. The trials of the past few days had given him a new understanding of his Mohist beliefs. In his heart, he had completely accepted her and already considered her his wife. In the dark, flooded dungeon, Gailey desperately called out her name. Though Chief Yi Yue could hear his cries, her inability to speak left her utterly helpless as the water rose around her. Finally, following the clue of a drifting cloth pouch, Gailey found her, but it was too late. Chief Yi Yue had already drowned. Gailey could save an entire nation, yet he couldn't protect the woman he loved most. It was a deeply tragic and heartbreaking end. In the end, taking with him a group of orphans who had lost their families to the war, Gailey wandered among the warring states, continuing to spread his Mohist philosophy of universal love and peace.